All right, Richard Solomon and Kerry Kearney, and we got like this extra bonus piece. So after we close the show, I hear this great story, and I'm like, oh my God, we didn't record it. So you had a story about Marty Balin.
Yes, it was 1988, and I was living in Rockaway Beach at the time. I lived in Breezy Point, which is right near it, and I was going to be a policeman. Actually, I was going to go. I had everything all ready to go. I had all the tests, the whole thing, and they called me down to do this. So I was having a bad relationship at the time, really, really bad. And a friend of mine was a road guy, manager for the Jefferson Starship. So I had a band I was playing with here. And my business at the time, actually, I was a photographer. I was doing that as my day job until the policemen came along. So what happened was I was having a really, really bad relationship. So he called me one night. He said, listen, why don't you get your stuff? Just come on a plane. Come out here for like a week. Just come and mellow out, right? So, but hold on. Before that, we played at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco and opened up for a band called Marty Balin and Cassidy. And it was an offshoot of the Starship, okay? It was Paul Kantner, Marty, and Jack Cassidy. So we played our set. We opened up the show. And after I played, I was backstage, and he ran up to me and says, wow, Marty did this. He goes, man, you're a great guitar player. I thought he was being nice. You know what I mean? I was like some kid I didn't know anything. So I was probably about 26, 27 at the time. So anyway, just let it go. Took a compliment, went home, and I was having this bad relationship. And so he called me, my friend of mine who was a roadie, called me and said, listen, come on out just for a week. Just come on out and hang out. Don't worry about it. So Marty owned an old church called the Church of San Anselmo. That's been there since like 1870. Through the earthquake, the whole thing. It's a big wooden church. Anyway, he owned the place, and inside the whole area inside, it was an old Episcopalian or something like that, whatever it was a huge room that was a rehearsal hall. He bought it to play there, right? And upstairs there was people living in it, like all kind of communal people, kind of hippies, hanging out. And my friend was the guy, the caretaker. So I went out there, slept on a couch, and so he, not knowing this, but he called Marty up and he said, listen, that kid is here, that guy you like. So he came over one day. He opened the door and there he was. Marty comes in and he goes, hey, what's going on? You want to hang out and jam a little bit? So we had a cup of coffee. We talked a little bit about things, where I was from and stuff like that. So we played a little bit. And then he said, listen, if I come back tomorrow with some songs, you want to try some stuff with me? And here I am, like I said, I'm ready. I got 1 foot in the academy, you know what I mean? And 1 foot like here. So I said, that'd be great. So I didn't really think of anything. So he came back the next day with this bag, right? This leather bag. He opened it up, and inside was every Starship and Airplane song that he ever wrote by hand. And he'd hand me the sheet that he wrote in 1967. He said, you know this one? And I knew a lot of the tunes, you know what I mean? So I said, oh, yeah, I know this one. That's great. So we started playing a little bit, doing it. And after that session we did for about 2 or 3 hours, he goes, listen, I'm going to go on tour for like 3 months. Do you want to come with me? And it was leaving in like 3 weeks. The bus was going to come and get us. And I just said, I'd love to. That'd be great. So I called back home and I said, listen, I'm going to come home for like a day, put my stuff on an airplane, all my amps, my guitars, and I'm not coming home. For a while. And everybody, my parents, everybody thought I was crazy, Didn't know what was going on. So my woman I was living with too, she was like, but then again, we're having a bad relationship. Anyway, so I get on the plane, come back, and we start rehearsing. So there was a couple of people from the area. We had a bass player, keyboard player, really, really great, drummer, and myself. And I became like the musical director, which I was really, really surprised about. He'd ask me all the questions about stuff. What do you think about this? No, sounds great. And I'd give him like suggestions of tunes, like of all the Starship songs to know, and Airplane stuff. So we did 3 weeks. I learned like 60 songs in 3 weeks. I slept and ate the songs, okay? And I stayed there. I sat on the couch, freezing, in the middle of, the winter of, California winters, which is like, it's not that it's cold, but at the nighttime it gets kind of cold. Very, very, very damp. Like I said, it was actually north of San Francisco. It was in San Anselmo. It was out in Marin County. So anyway, all of a sudden we do it. Boom, 3 weeks come. A big bus comes out, big tour bus, beautiful bus. Opens the door. The guy says, come on, let's go. So a big road crew came out, took all my stuff, opened the bottom, threw it on the bus. And I didn't go home for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that was it. And in that interim, we went everywhere. We went to Russia. We went everywhere. It was amazing. What I learned. I mean, there were times when I was on the bus, and I'd get scared. I'd be like, am I really here? Like, it was just a mind-blowing
Were you pinching yourself?
I was pinching myself. Like, am I doing this? And the bus driver, he was David Crosby's road manager. And I'd sit in that front seat of the bus. slept 12 people in a stateroom. It was like a big limousine. And so I sat in the front, and all night long I'd play. I couldn't sleep. I'd drink coffee all night, and we'd play songs. I knew every song that Drive-In did, let me tell you. It was great, sitting there jamming. But we were playing, it was called the Eel River. And what it is, it's in Humboldt County. And they grow a lot of pot there, right? And it was called Electric on the Eel. And it was us, Taj Mahal, and Jerry Garcia band, right? So about a week or so before the show, I'm with a friend from New York. And down my block there was this really great Mexican restaurant. You got to understand, it looks kind of like Port Jefferson, where I lived, but with mountains. You look at there's a mountain.
Port
but
Jefferson.
It had Port Jeff look, like that whole thing, where the winding roads. It's a Talkit. Very, very pretty, actually. And so I'm in there, and a friend of mine was sitting right here. He was a really, like, kind of wet behind the ears, kind of like with stars. Like, he was like, if you saw anybody famous, he'd be like, oh, my God. And I'm sitting there, I look over, there's Jerry Garcia and his wife eating, you know. And I said to him, I said, listen, do me a favor, don't say nothing, just wait here. And if you want to, you know, there's a stationery store right next door. Go get a magic marker, and I'll show you something in about 2 seconds. He goes, why would you? So he went out, came back, and did it. And as soon as Jerry got up to leave, I said, come on, let's go. So I walked out the door, the side door, and I caught him in the front door. And Jerry's walking out. And I said to him, I remember I had a pair of red Converse sneakers on. My friend had a hat. And my friend saw who it was, and he almost fainted. You know, he's right here. It's like right where you are. I said, hey, Jerry, how you doing? He goes, hey, how are you? And he goes, listen, I said, we're playing with you next week at the big show. So, you know, what we're doing. And he goes, oh, great. He goes, who are you playing with? I say, I'm playing with Marty Balin. I'm a guitar player. He goes, oh, Marty. He goes, that's great. So we're talking. I said, could you give me an autograph? And he goes, I'd love to. You know what I mean? So a friend of mine takes off his cap. He signs his cap, right? And I'm not an autograph guy. But I said, you know, I got to do this just for friends back home. I took my sneaker off. And his wife goes, don't touch your sneaker. And he goes, ah. And he took it, and he signed Jerry Garcia on the sneakers. By Jerry Garcia sneaker, I called it.
Wow.
Red Converse. And he was the nicest. I mean, he was God at the time. I mean, to people, especially in that area. And everywhere else in the world, obviously. But, I mean, he was just like a guy, just, you know, anybody just talking. It was like so easy, so cool. That's when I went to the show and stuff. My dad remembers me from the show. And it was a lot of fun. And, but it was so crazy, that whole thing. And the funny thing is, the woman I lived with back then, I left the sneakers there, and I never found them. And today, I mean, I could probably, like, you know, auction them for, like, who knows what, you know what I mean? But it was great, though.
You know, it's funny, when they uncovered the tapes that became the Mother McCree's Uptown Jug Champions album.
Right.
The very end, there's a little interview, and he says, you know, I'm Jerry Garcia. He's like, I'm a music teacher. He says, we just do this for fun. It's not like we're going to become famous or anything.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's one of the most ironic statements of all time.
Well, Paul McCartney, too, when they were asking him, like, 64, I think it was, when I first came to America and went back home. And he says, well, maybe me and John might, you know, develop a little more writing, and maybe we'll be around in about another year, and we'll be fine. And that's the way he was thinking, you know what I mean? And Ringo was going to go make a beauty parlor. He wanted to be, you know, walk around, would you like a cup of tea, Mom? And, you know, do hair. But that was his big thing he wanted to do and stuff. Pretty funny, actually.
All right.
Cool.